It is that time of the week. It's a Dynasty rookie mock draft here for you. It is Sunday, March 23rd. We are almost a month away from the NFL draft. We are 32 days from the NFL draft happening. So I'm excited. We're all very, very excited. And we've been doing these since early January, and things have changed quite a bit since we started doing these. As always, if you like Dynasty content, make sure to hit the like and the subscribe button. Help us get to 1,200 subscribers, which is crazy to think about that we're almost we're creeping closer to 1,200 subscribers. But today, what I have for you is as I made it disappear, I have a 12-team superflex PPR 1.25 tight end premium. Why 1.25? Well, we are doing our listener leagues. We have 2 listener leagues set up. One of them starts next week, another one in 2 weeks. And in our listener leagues, we do 1.25 tight end premium on top of whatever the PPR bonus already is. If you want to get in to one of our listener leagues, make sure to join the Discord. Link is in the description. It's free, and we're trying to get a 3rd Dynasty listener league set up. So hop on in there, and it would be great to have you. So once again, this is a 12-team super tight end premium, as I need to get rid of that sound. Tight end premium 1.25. There are landing spots. It's a CBS 3-round mock draft from a few days ago. Link is also in the description. So we are using those landing spots. And, I talked about how a lot of things have changed, since we started doing these back in early January, basically after the season ended. Ashton Jeanty has not changed. He's been the 101. He's holding strong. No one has kind of supplanted him as the 101. I have been talking about recently, like, if Omarion Hampton gets the right draft capital, there's a chance that he could go 101 over Ashton Jeanty. Like if Hampton goes to the Bears and Jeanty goes to the Raiders, I think there's going to be people that take Hampton over Jeanty. But that being said, in this mock draft, Omarion Hampton was actually a 2nd-round pick. Ashton Jeanty was the 6th overall pick to the Raiders. So it's Ashton Jeanty here at the 102. And I kind of, it's interesting. What I love about doing this so early on, and kind of, it's so important to track these guys if you're in dynasty leagues, and a lot of you that are watching this have been watching these since we put these out in early January. What's important about it is you don't overreact to the draft, right? Like Clyde Edwards-Helaire versus Jonathan Taylor that year back in 2020 when they were drafted. Everyone who was paying attention from January or even earlier knew that JT was the better running back. It was the people that overreacted to, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a Chief, and now he's the RB1. Well, look how that turned out. One thing that I like about this is, and I kind of mentioned this back in January, it's like, when we first started doing this, a lot of times with our listener leagues, by the way, we do live rookie mock drafts. If we want to join one of those, make sure to hit the bell on this, and we will go live several times a week doing live rookie mock drafts with everyone. When we first started doing these quarterbacks, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders were like not even in the first half of a Superflex league. And I was kind of saying, like, one, I don't think that's going to be how it's going to be as we get closer to the draft. And we're already hearing the discourse of Cam Ward. And it's very rare that you see Cam Ward fall out of the top 4 in a Dynasty rookie Superflex draft now. And I think that's the way to go. I do think Cam Ward should be a top 3 or 4 pick here. And I do think Omarion Hampton, these 3 guys, I think, have kind of solidified themselves as the top 3, in my opinion. Could it change? Yes. But if I had to put money on a top 3, who's going to be in the top 3 of a rookie draft, these are the 3 players that I would bet on. It's Ashton Jeanty, 101, and then Cam Ward, Omarion Hampton. Sometimes you'll see Hampton at the 102. If Hampton gets first-round draft capital, I think he's a lock at the 102. And again, in this draft, he does not get first-round draft capital. He goes 36th overall, though, to the Broncos, which is a great spot. I just think if he does get first-round capital, especially top 20 draft capital, that he's a lock at the 102. I think you can make an argument for Cam Ward over him. I think you can make an argument for Hampton over Cam Ward. After this point is where, man, this draft could go so many ways. There's people who just love certain players like Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, Ted McMillan, whatever. that they could go as high, this high. Your league format is going to matter as well. And I think in a superflex tight end premium league, which is what we are doing, there's just so many ways that this could go. So many ways that the rest of the draft could go. The top 15 picks to me in this draft are money picks. I think you're going to get a very good player fall to you in the early second round if you have an early second round pick. And, I think, again, there's just so many ways that this 104 to 110 really could go that I'm not going to argue one strongly over the other. However, I am going to go with Quinshon Judkins here at the 104. And one of the reasons being is that Quinshon Judkins people love. There's a big Quinshon Judkins fan base, and deservedly so. He tested extremely well at the combine. I think that was kind of the one question with Judkins was his athletic profile, and he was one of the best in the entire combine and some in the history of he almost got like that RAS score of 10, right? So that's what we love to see. So Quinshon Judkins in this draft goes 63rd overall to the Chiefs. And I think people are going to love that landing spot. There's always going to be a Chiefs boost to players. The KC next to their name is going to boost them up, whether that's deservedly so or not. I'm not going to here to argue that, but it just happens. So Quinshon Judkins, I see, again, could he go this high? I think he could if he gets the right draft capital to the right team. At the 105, I'm going Colston Loveland, and usually I am Tyler Warren over Colston Loveland. That being said, that doesn't mean that, and that's nothing against Colston Loveland. I think he's great, and I do think they're in the same tier. And I kind of think that if the draft were to play out this way, that Warren goes to the Colts at 14 and Loveland goes to the Chargers at 22, the narrative of Loveland on the Chargers with Harbaugh reuniting with his college coach, pairing up with Justin Herbert, and Herbert made Will Dissly. We were talking about Will Dissly last year as waiver wire startable tight end streamer last year. Like, what could he do with Colston Loveland? There's really no consistent number 2 option on that team. It's Ladd McConkey, and then you got Mike Williams, you got Quentin Johnston, but Loveland could easily be the number 2 target on this team, potentially even number 1. There's a world where that happens, maybe not year 1, but I just think the narrative's too strong for Loveland to not go this high in a 1.25 tight end premium. And so I'm going to go with Colston Loveland here at the 105. Do I like Warren more? Yes, but I do think it could play out this way. You guys know if you watch these, I don't always do, this is what I would do every single pick. I try to take in, how I think the draft could play out as well, because I think that's more useful for you, right? The draft's not going to go exactly how I say it's going to go in your drafts. It's not going to go exactly how you think it should go. People are different. People have their own opinion. So I think this is potentially a way it could go. At the 106, I'm picking Caleb Johnson. Now, Caleb Johnson to me, at best, he's my RB 5 at best. Now he goes RB4 here, and I do have a couple of guys higher than him that haven't been drafted. But he goes to the Bears 39th overall. He gets top 40 draft capital, which means something. He goes to the Bears, who have Ben Johnson now, and they're linking up with Ben Johnson. We know what Ben Johnson did with Montgomery and Gibbs, and that offense just could be awesome with Caleb, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Rome Odunze, and now Caleb Johnson and DeAndre Swift 1-2 punch. You could see Caleb Johnson fill in that Montgomery role pretty easily. So I think people are going to be very excited about that. Again, this section of the draft, and we're going to keep going here, it just could go so many ways, which is why I'm a fan of actually trading back, especially if you're at pick like 4 and 5. I'm a big fan of trading back to like the 7 to 9 range, picking up extra assets, and then still getting a really good player. I would much rather have Travion Henderson and another piece, a pick or a player, versus just Quinshon Judkins. I would. And I'm going to go Travion Henderson here. I've seen Travion Henderson go as high as the 102. That's how much people like him. He goes to the Browns, the 67th overall, and I like Travion Henderson. I think he's kind of better in a role of like a 1A, 1B situation. I don't know if that's going to be the case in Cleveland. I think he's a very good pass catcher. I think he can really fit on most teams. Whereas I think Caleb Johnson to me is going to be a little bit more team dependent than a guy like Travion Henderson, because I think Caleb Johnson's going to be he needs a little bit more, better offensive line, a better system, a team that's going to commit to giving him, 15, 20 carries a game versus Travion Henderson can kind of fit anywhere because of his pass catching ability. I'm not saying Caleb Johnson can't catch, but I think Travion Henderson can really just fit on whatever team, whether there's an established starter there or not. So that's a big reason why I like Travion Henderson. I actually have him as my RB3, but he does fall in this draft to the third round, which not a huge deal. The third round hit rate on running backs is still really good. He goes early third round. He goes to the Browns. So the opportunity is 100% there. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking where's Ted McMillan? And he's not going to go here yet, which I know may be crazy to you, but I'm going Tyler Warren at the 108. And again, in a tight end premium, I don't think there should be that much separation between Loveland and Warren, whether it's Warren first or Loveland next. Warren goes to the Colts, 14th overall. I think he does fall a little bit because I don't think people love that landing spot. I mean, Brock Bowers was kind of going in this range. I'm not sure about tight end premium, but he was definitely going in this range in a non-tight end premium. And, one thing I will say about Warren is I'm getting a little bit concerned. The discourse around him is he's the perfect prospect, almost he's just the greatest tight. There's not a lot of negativity around him. And, not everyone's perfect. Do I think he's a blue chip prospect? I think there's a possibility he is in a draft where there's not many blue chip prospects. I think he could go as high as the 104 or 105 to the Patriots or Jacksonville. That's how high I think he could go. He falls here to the Colts, which is a popular landing spot. One thing I will say is he spent 5 years in college and didn't really have a big season until last year. His first 4 years in college, he was decent in 2023, but 2020 to 2022, the guy did nothing. And it could be a little bit of a red flag. Now, there were some other tight ends there at Penn State. Pat Fryermuth in the beginning of his college career. Theo Johnson was also there. I think there was also one more person. I can't remember who. But Tyler Warren goes here at the 108. I really like Tyler Warren. I just think he can fit. He's going to get on the field, which is half the battle for tight ends. That's the one, a little bit nervous about Loveland is he going to be out there 80% or more of the snaps, or is he going to be a 60 to 70% guy? And that could hurt his consistency. Tyler Warren, I think, is going to be out there 80+% of the time, every single game from week one. Now at the 109, I have Ted McMillan. And I know this is kind of a blasphemy. And again, I'm not going to argue anyone that says Ted McMillan should go at the 105 or something, because again, I said it at the beginning. This area of the draft from 104 to 109, 110 could honestly go in so many directions. We do need to recognize that there's a chance Ted McMillan falls. Now he doesn't fall too far here. He goes 11th overall to the 49ers. Now, do we love the 49ers landing spot? I think some people could talk themselves into not loving it. You got Ricky Pearsall, who's a former first-round pick. Juwan Jennings, who broke out last year, is going to have a role on this team. George Kittle is one of the best tight ends, receiving tight ends, overall tight ends in the NFL. Christian McCaffrey is going to be back, and he's going to get his targets and his dump-offs. Brandon Ayuk, although he could miss some time at the beginning of the year, they're paying him a lot of money. They're going to put him on the field. That's 5 guys that we're talking about and now you're adding Ted McMillan into the equation, So I think it was 5 guys at least. Ricky Pearsall, George Kittle, Juwan Jennings, CMC, and Ayuk. Plus, you're adding Ted McMillan. So you could argue that this isn't the greatest spot. And I think we have to acknowledge that Ted McMillan could fall. I know we have him as the wide receiver 1 in this draft class, but not all wide receiver 1s in a draft class are created equal. I mean, JSN fell. And from my own personal beliefs in scouting and looking at the numbers, I had JSN as a better prospect coming into the NFL draft than Ted McMillan. And so there's a chance he falls. There's a chance that he's getting his values a little bit inflated. We see him mocked at the 104 a lot of times. And I think to myself, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Jamar Chase, these guys were top 5 picks at wide receiver. Is Ted McMillan on their level? Now, is he being pushed up a little bit because, one, the draft class for wide receivers is not great. And 2, there's a lot of teams that could use another wide receiver, whether it's a wide receiver 1 or 2. I mean, just looking down the list, New England obviously needs someone. Jacksonville could use another weapon. The Raiders at the 6th spot. The Jets could use a wide receiver 2. The Panthers need a wide receiver 1. The Saints, that's from picks 4 to 9. Any of those teams could go Ted McMillan. So I do think there's a good chance. Like I would be surprised if he fell too far, but I think we need to start being honest with ourselves. Like, he's not a perfect prospect. He's a good player. He might be getting a little bit boosted in inflation and value and where he's going because of the lack of wide receivers in this draft class. And I could see him falling in rookie drafts again if he falls to a team like the 49ers. And we love all these running backs, and it's a tight end premium, so we love these tight ends. I could see him falling, and I wouldn't be shocked. Now, could I see him going as high as the 105 even in this draft? Sure. Why not? Like, I do think he's a good player. At the 110, I'm taking Shedeur Sanders. I know people are a little bit lower on Shedeur Sanders, but he's still, in this mock draft, he's going 7th overall to the Jets. And, like 7th overall to the Jets, he's going to get an opportunity there. Maybe it's going to be mid-season. Maybe it's going to be an entire season on the bench. I'm not sure. That being said, he's still a quarterback being taken 7th overall in a superflex league. Michael Penix went right around here, and people were like, "Oh my God, he's not going to play for 2 years behind Kirk Cousins," and he played year 1, and he's already the starter. Right? Like, we need to stop trying to predict the future so much and realize the NFL is way too unpredictable to always to be certain that it's going to play out a specific way. Can we speculate? Can we guess that Michael Penix is not going to play year 1? Sure. But we have to also leave the window open, the door open, that we don't know how the NFL is going to play out. We don't know what the NFL is going to look like in 2-3 years in terms of players and teams and all of that, let alone, 5 years or whatever. So, basically, Shedeur Sanders is Justin Fields going to start? Most likely. Could I see Shedeur Sanders playing year 1? Yes, if they're spending the 7th overall pick on him. At the 111, I'm going to go Matthew Golden. He goes to Seattle, which I think people are going to be a little bit lower on. I'm a big Matthew Golden fan. He's my wide receiver 2 in this draft class. I don't mind the Seattle landing spot necessarily, but I do think optically it's going to drop him a little bit. It's going to be hard to see if Cooper Kupp, JSN, these guys are healthy. Even a guy like MVS is going to demand some targets. These guys are healthy, and also Seattle is probably going to run the ball a little bit more than they're definitely going to run the ball more than they did last year. It's easy to see Golden fall just a little bit. That being said, like, Cooper Kupp's 32 years old. I think he's going to be 32 heading into this year. And he's been injured a lot the last couple of years. So, like, this could easily be Golden in year 1, could have some production. I see a path for him in year 1 and definitely in year 2. And I'm a big Matthew Golden fan. And again, he goes 18th overall to the Seahawks. So I'm banking a little bit more on the talent here. Could he have a Jordan Addison-like effect? Yeah, sure. Jackson Dart is at the 112. Jackson Dart goes 33rd overall to the Browns. So the Browns get, I think, Abdul Carter, and then they get Jackson Dart here. I like it. I mean, there's a very, very, very good chance that he's the starting quarterback week 1, and that has value in it of itself, right? And again, despite what we think about ourselves in scouting players, especially quarterbacks, which are the hardest position by far to scout, we are wrong a lot. We're wrong. The NFL is wrong. What if Jackson Dart hits? If he hits and he becomes a top 15 quarterback, the guy should be taken in the mid first somewhere. So, like, taking a chance on him in a super flex league in the 112 is not crazy to me. That being said, it'll be interesting to see if he does go 33rd overall. I think every year it's easy to mock when we're making mock drafts, like real NFL mock drafts. It's really easy to mock quarterbacks to teams because, like, yeah, this team needs a quarterback. They must take him. So we always see these quarterbacks that are like, yeah, he's a day 2 pick. Spencer Rattler, he's a day 2 pick. Like, we always see these quarterbacks like, oh yeah, he's going to be the first pick around 2 because the team 1 who needs a quarterback went defensive player 101 overall. There's only been 6 quarterbacks taken in the second round since 2015. The last 10 years of NFL drafts, there's been 6 quarterbacks taken in the second round, 2 of them in the top 50. So I feel like every year we see these guys mocked. Oh yeah, they're going to go early second round, and then they don't. That being said, this is the world we're living in, and Jackson Dart to me should be a fringe first round pick. Again, there's a lot of ways you can go, and there's a lot of good players that are going to fall to this 201. And you start looking at, I'm going to take these players: Luther Burden, Emeka Ibuka, and we'll start off with those two guys, Luther Burden and Emeka Ibuka here. Both of those guys are first round picks at wide receiver. Both of them. Luther Burden is 28th overall to the Lions. Emeka Ibuka is 26th overall to the Titans. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, how does a first round wide receiver fall to the second round? Well, it happened last year. Xavier Legette and Ricky Pearsall were falling to the second round. And for decent reason, because of the teams they went on and stuff like that. But those guys were falling a little bit. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. That being said, the wide receivers that were going over him, like Ladd McConkey, I was a little bit more excited about those guys than I am about some of these other players. But also, like, who are you going to argue should be here? Like, who are you going to argue really, really strongly over Luther Burden and Emeka Ibuka, to go over? A top 7 pick at the quarterback position, another first round pick at wide receiver, a tight end who's going 15th, 14th overall in a tight end premium league. Sure, if you want to argue them, I'm not sure. Go ahead. What I'm trying to get at is these early second round picks are going to be good. They are going to be good. It's going to be a first round wide receiver. It's going to be a quarterback taken, 33rd overall. It's going to be another player here. DJ Giddens is who I'm taking here. If I can find him, DJ Giddens, who he goes to the Cowboys in the 3rd round. And again, the hit rate on running backs going in the 3rd round is still really, really good. The hit rate for running backs going in the 3rd round, this is since 2015. The hit rate on running backs going in the 3rd round I'm just pulling it up here, are at a 40% hit rate, meaning they either give you and there's different. I have different criteria. If you want to see all of this, I have all of it laid out and mapped out. I'm going to put it in our Discord, so make sure to join our Discord. But a 40% hit rate for 3rd round running backs, like, that's still really damn good, right? That's still really, really, really damn good. So DJ Giddens going to the Cowboys, I love it. I love DJ Giddens. I love the landing spot, obviously. So him going to the Cowboys here easily makes him an early to mid second round pick for me. Even at the 204, we're getting a guy like Travis Hunter, who I still don't know what to do with him. That being said, a lot of people are saying if the Patriots take Travis Hunter, he's playing wide receiver. And if you firmly and confidently believe that, and I'm not going to say you're wrong or right, but if you do truly believe that, then he's easily an early to mid first round pick. If you truly believe he's going to be a full-time wide receiver. So honestly, I think Travis Hunter goes even earlier than this. I think he goes earlier than this. I still can't get it out of my mind that he might not be. And because I love DJ Giddens and I love these wide receivers here, first round wide receivers, it's hard for me to take Hunter over them, knowing it's still a risk. That being said, he's going to go. There's too many people that believe in Hunter and believe that if he goes to the Patriots, that he's going to be a wide receiver. He's going to go earlier. He may even be a first round pick. So it starts to get a little bit easier. This is kind of like the tier fall off. Like, obviously Giddens got the good landing spot, but like these two wide receivers and, these 3 wide receivers, Burden, Ibuka, Hunter, along with guys like Dart and stuff like that, a little bit of a tier down here for sure. Jaden Higgins is my next pick. I like Jaden Higgins. I think he has the tools to be an all-around good wide receiver. Does he have a ceiling of being a top 12 guy? I don't think so. He goes to the Chargers. Early second round, I believe. Double checking here. He goes to the Chargers, 55th overall. So mid-second round pick to the Chargers, mid to late second round pick to the Chargers. And I like it. I mean, he's, they did draft Loveland, so you got to keep that in mind. Ladd McConkey's there. But he's definitely going to be their wide receiver too, Jaden Higgins, or he has a very good chance to be. So I like that, and I like Jaden Higgins, and I think he goes here. At the 206, I'm taking Harold Fannin Jr. He still has a strong following, a little bit of a cult following around him. It is a tight end premium league, right? And, Harold Fannin goes 57th overall to the Panthers. And I think he could be the best tight end for the Panthers. My whole issue, and it has been for a long time with Harold Fannin Jr., is like he's a tweener. And, a team's going to have to say, you know what, we like him as a tweener, and we're going to use him enough in the receiving game to make him fantasy relevant. So, yeah, that's kind of what I went with here, Harold Fannin Jr. And again, 1.25 tight end premium. And even if you don't specifically play in that, if you play in a significant heavy tight end premium, and significant to me is when we start getting over double what everyone else is getting. So if it's a half PPR, anything over a tight end's getting anything over a point per reception is a legit tight end premium league. If it's a PPR league, tight ends get anything for tight ends getting over 2 points per reception is like a legit league. So, you can kind of just take that approach here. I'm going to go off the board here. Now, usually when I do these, I stick to who was drafted. But that being said, the hit rate on fourth round running backs is still pretty good. It's much better than fourth round receivers, that's for sure. But the hit rate on fourth round running backs is still good. And I know we don't know technically where Dylan Sampson went, but I'm going to pretend he was the first pick of the fourth round. I'm a big Dylan Sampson fan. I have Dylan Sampson. I know this may sound crazy, in the same tier as Caleb Johnson and Quinshon Judkins. To me, it's Caleb, it's Genty, it's Hampton, and Henderson. Maybe it's really Hampton by himself, and then it's I still don't know if Henderson's by himself. It's either Henderson by himself or Henderson with Judkins, Caleb Johnson, and Dylan Sampson. I still have to confirm that, but I have him as high as my RB4 in this draft class. As high as I think he might be my RB4 right now. I think I'm going to put him as my RB4 right now. I'm a huge Dylan Sampson fan. I think he's the complete package. I think he was really damn good for a Tennessee team that really relied on him, and he was like a significant part of their offense. He has it all. He has the speed. He can break tackles. He's explosive. He takes on contact, which I love to see with running backs. He doesn't shy away from it. Yes, he's a little bit smaller. That's the only negative thing about him. The film is there. The production is there. The analytical stuff is there. The athletic stuff is there. The only negative thing about him is his size. And I'm not gonna just say, oh no, he's not gonna be good because he's small when everything else lines up. I felt that way about Bucky Irving last year. If you go back and listen to us in February of last year, we talk about Bucky Irving and say, oh yeah, Bucky Irving for us is RB3 or 4 in this draft class. He's RB1, right? And we weren't worried about the size. Just watch him play. He doesn't play small. Next up, I'm going with Jalen Noel, spelled Noel. Jalen Noel, the other Iowa State wide receiver. He gets really good draft capital. He goes 41st overall to the Chicago Bears. And not the greatest landing spot, which is why he does fall a little bit. Because you got DJ Moore, Roman Dunze there. But I think he's going to fill that slot role and be really good at it. And so if this offense is really damn good, you could see him produce. Would I prefer another spot? Sure. But I really like Jalen Noel. There's times I like him more than Jaden Higgins. I think he has a safer floor than Jaden Higgins. I think Higgins has a little bit better ceiling. But like Jalen Noel, man, he tested through the roof as well. One of my favorite guys here. I hope he gets a really good landing spot, whether it's in the second or third round. Moving right along, I'll go Alec Iomanner here. Alec Iomanner, he goes third round, which again, the hit rate on third round receivers is still okay. It's still good enough. Obviously, third round running backs are better, but third round receivers hit at a better rate than fourth round running backs. Not a huge difference, but they do. It's an 18% hit rate for third round running wide receivers versus a 13% hit rate for fourth round running back. So, I don't think it's crazy to say like, okay, if the wide receiver drafted in the third round gets a really good landing spot, an intriguing landing spot, I should say, like he does, Alec Iomanner going to the Patriots, easily their wide receiver 1 right now, unless Travis Hunter is the wide receiver, but easily their wide receiver 1 right now. So I'll go ahead and take Alec Iomanner, who I like. And I think if there's someone that I'm like outside of my top 4 guys, I wouldn't be shocked if like Alec Iomanner was that player who's outside of like the top 4 in McMillan, Golden, Burden, and Abuka. I wouldn't be surprised if Iomanner is that guy to be a difference maker. He's a guy outside of that top four to really be, maybe the best, one of the better wide receivers in this draft class. Another guy I really like is Jalen Royals. To me, he's my wide receiver 5. Jalen Royals is. I'm a big Jalen Royals fan. I never see him mocked to a great spot. He goes to the Packers 3rd round, which is going to gross some people out. That being said, I do think the Packers need a wide receiver 1. Is that going to be Jalen Royals? Well, there's a chance now. I don't think it's going to be Jaden Reed. I think they like Jaden Reed in a certain role that he plays. Christian Watson can't stay healthy. So, I think it could be Jalen Royals, although it's not the greatest landing spot because it's just another wide receiver kind of added to that mess of wide receivers there. Next up, I'm going Jack Besh. And by the way, we're doing a 3-round mock draft here, just so you know. I'm going Jack Besh here. He also gets a decent landing spot, I believe, if I remember correctly. He goes to the Broncos. I like that spot, actually. Broncos 85th overall. Like, he can play kind of wide receiver 2 for Cortland Sutton for at least a year, and then we'll see beyond that. I like Besh. I like Besh a lot. I think he's a very, very good all-around wide receiver. I think he probably plays better as the wide receiver 2 role. But does he have some tools to potentially be the wide receiver 1 for a team? Sure. I think he does. I like Jack Besh, and I like that landing spot. And just some good value on wide receivers here because there's so many good running backs to kind of push them down the board a little bit. I'm going to go with Trey Harris next. I'm not the biggest Trey Harris fan, but there's enough people out there that like Trey Harris that, a lot of people take him late 1st, early 2nd round. I'm not there on him, which means I'm probably not going to have a lot of Trey Harris if I'm being completely honest. But he does go top 50. He goes 47th overall, but to the Cardinals. And I just don't love – I see the Cardinals taking a wide receiver a lot in mock drafts. I don't love it. Because I don't think you're out-targeting Trey McBride. And unless Marvin Harrison Jr. is a complete bust, you're not out-targeting him. So we're talking about you're probably the 3rd best target on the team. You still have to beat out Michael Wilson, by the way. You're probably the 3rd best target on the team, on a team that couldn't even support a generational talent, so to speak, at the wide receiver last year position to Marvin Harrison. Like, they couldn't even really support 2 consistent guys in the pass game already. Are you telling me there's supposed to be a 3rd one? I don't know. Don't love it. I'm going to go Mason Taylor here. I'm going to go through this 3rd round a little bit faster. Mason Taylor, to me, is kind of establishes himself as like right around that tight end 3-4 range. I have him over Harold Fandon Jr. That being said, he does go 3rd round, which the hit rate for 3rd round tight ends is a little bit lower, of course, for 3rd round tight ends. But he goes 3rd round to the Texans. Obviously, Dalton Schultz is going to be there. Cade Stover is going to be there. So it's actually a little bit of a crowded tight end room there, in my opinion. So I don't love the landing spot for Mason Taylor, though I wouldn't be surprised if he came out as the top tight end there. Jalen Milroe is going to go next. In this world we're living in, Jalen Milroe is a Giant. He went in the 3rd round to the Giants. And the Giants didn't draft anyone at the top of this draft. So we're talking about it's Jalen Milroe and Jameis Winston. Can you see Jameis Winston getting benched this year because he's throwing too many interceptions and Dayball gets pissed off? Absolutely. So I think Jalen Milroe, a very good chance that he plays this year. He's a rushing quarterback. All he needs to do is play. I don't care if he's good at passing, whatever. If he's playing, if he's starting, he's going to be good for fantasy. If he had a season as a starter, Jalen Milroe would be a top 12 quarterback because of his rushing ability. It's kind of a cheat code. Does it make sense completely? No, but that's how fantasy's played. I'm going to go off the board again here, Cam Scattaboo. It's hard going off the board a little bit. There's a lot of running backs I like and that I like more than maybe some of these other players, but it's hard when we don't know exactly where they go. That being said, Cam Scattaboo to me, he could easily go in the mid-second round if he gets, day 2 draft capital to the right team. I think Scattaboo, I know a lot of people don't like him. He's not, this incredible athlete or anything. That being said, he does what needs to be done. He catches the ball, which is super valuable. He can pass block, which is super valuable. And he breaks tackles, which is incredibly valuable. All that stuff's going to translate to the NFL. I like Scattaboo. He could go as high as the mid-second round for me. Gunnar Helm is the next pick here. I'm a little bit lower on Gunnar Helm. For example, I like Elijah Arroyo a little bit more, but Elijah Arroyo didn't get drafted here, so it's just hard to know exactly. Gunnar Helm goes to the Eagles, 96th overall. Like I like that landing spot. You get maybe one more year of Dallas Goedert. and then Gunnar Helm takes over, and that's fine. And honestly, I know people don't love the Eagles in terms of pass catchers. It's not the best spot. Go look at Dallas Goedert's per game numbers. They're still really damn good, despite them not throwing the ball that much. At 305, I went with Tez Johnson here. Tez Johnson, obviously he's small. He's not as fast as we thought. So I am a little bit lower on him. That being said, he goes to the Jets, 73rd overall. The Jets have Justin Fields there, and they drafted Shedeur Sanders. So they could be in a good spot quarterback-wise. And Tez Johnson, they desperately need, who do they have outside of Garrett Wilson there? They don't have anyone outside of Garrett Wilson. So, they could desperately use a number 2 option. So, there's an easy path for Tez Johnson to be the number 2 option. And a lot of times when you're drafting guys in the 3rd round, dart throws and stuff like that, it's all about, paths and who can you see being an impact player for this team. And Tez Johnson absolutely could be. Jaden Blue, another guy that didn't get drafted. And I want to shout out Jaden Blue here. I really like Jaden Blue. The more I watch him, I didn't watch a lot of him at the beginning of this process just because I wasn't sure if he was going to come out, to be honest. I forget if he was if he had to have come out or not. Someone can remind me in the chat here, or in the comments. But I really like what I see from Jaden Blue. Do I think he has a workhorse role? Not guaranteed. That being said, what does he do very, very well is he catches the ball, in my opinion, extremely well. So I think at worst, that's his role. And we've seen pass catching running backs be fantasy relevant before. At best, he has a bigger role than that. And he's more of a running back that can do more than just be a pass catcher. So I like to take shots on guys like that I think are going to have an established role. And then, they can obviously be more if they're just good, right? If you're good, they're not going to draft him and say, nope, you're a pass catcher. You can't be anything else. If he's just good at other things and better than whatever team he goes to, then he's going to get that. He's going to have, a bigger role for sure. Another guy that I kind of feel like that a little bit is Brashard Smith, who, by the way, is a converted wide receiver. So is he the next Tyrone Tracy or Antonio Gibson? Brashard Smith here, again, I feel fairly confident he has a role, and I like drafting guys that I know are going to have a role, and then they can expand on that. Everything I said for Jaden Blue, kind of repeat for Brashard Smith, who also didn't get drafted here. Xavier Restrepo, I'll take here. I think Restrepo is a solid player. I think he's a solid slot player. Obviously, if he goes higher in the draft, I'll have to rethink that a little bit. But he goes to the Texans here, 79th overall. Feels like he's going to be behind Christian Kirk for a year, and then we'll see. So don't love the landing spot just because I think he's a slot receiver. I don't think he's going to play on the outside, and I think that's what Christian Kirk's going to do for that team. Could he beat him out? Sure. But I would give the edge to Christian Kirk at least year one. Torrey Horton up next. Torrey Horton's another sneaky dart throw wide receiver that I really like in the 3rd or 4th round. He actually gets drafted in this mock draft. I'm seeing him mocked a little bit more. He did test pretty well. He's going to the Browns at the end of the 3rd round. Don't hate it. They could use a wide receiver too somewhere, right? Don't hate it. And in this draft, the Browns get Jackson Dart, so they do have potentially a quarterback of the future. We don't know for sure. Bashal Tootin, depending on how you said it, also doesn't get drafted here. So it's always hard. It's hard with these guys that don't get drafted, but he has enough. His speed is going to push him up in people's minds. People are in love with speed, whether that's NFL or real rookie or, real NFL or rookie mock draft. People are going to look at that speed and be like, oh yeah, I like him. Terrence Ferguson. I wanted to shout him out. He also didn't get drafted here. By the way, I do like Elijah Arroyo over them, but I kind of just wanted to spend some time talking about Ferguson. Athletic profiles, it's a little bit overrated, fast 40 times and stuff like that, except for tight ends. Athletic tight ends generally translate a lot better than non-athletic tight ends. It's not the same for wide receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks. It's more about production and other things, but athletic tight ends do seem to translate. And Terrence Ferguson was maybe the best tight end at this combine. So I think he's kind of pushed himself into the conversation of tight end 5-6 range. So just wanted to shout him out. And then one more guy I wanted to shout out here, Dylan Gabriel. If if I had to choose someone outside of the top 4 in Ward, Sanders, Dart, and Milrow, Dillon Gabriel is the next guy that I think potentially we could be hearing about his name starting for a team and having good production if he's on the right team, in the right system. And, he goes to a team like a 49er system, a Viking system, replaces the starter. He could control an offense. He's accurate, have these accurate throws, on-time throws. He's just short. If he was a couple inches taller, he would be potentially, a higher pick in this draft, but he's just short. He's just short. And so, I think he kind of has a lot of the other tools. So I just wanted to shout him out. If I had to put money on someone, of this huge Quinn Ewers, Will Howard, guys like that, I'm going to go with Mr. Dillon Gabriel. That's all I have for you guys. Appreciate you all watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys all in the next video.